Hi, my name is Phil Anderson, and I'm running for United States Senate to represent Wisconsin. The themes of my campaign are peace, prosperity, and privacy, and today I want to talk to you about peace. There's a terrible terrorist attack in Brussels. Over 31 people are dead. Now, why Brussels? Just so happens that Brussels is where NATO headquarters is. Brussels is where the European Parliament is, other institutions of the European Union. It's not their official capital. There's not an official capital of the European Union. However, a lot of administrative activities take place there for the European Union. So that's why Brussels. Because ISIS, in their attempts to retaliate and to attack, however you want to characterize it, are clearly making a statement by attacking in Paris, in Brussels, and by unrest in London. And you can even trace it back to 9/11 here, are trying to make a statement against the West. Us, that is the United States, England, the European Union, and it's probably not going to stop. But where did this come from? Have they always been this warlike, this terroristic? No, actually, they haven't. It's, I think, interesting that the rise in terrorist attacks and plots have basically coincided with the rise in our interference in their region. And eventually it got to the point where our foreign policy and the policy of NATO, and the policy of Great Britain and France, has gotten to the point where we have helped to radicalize enough people that they can fight back against us. And this is what they're doing. They're not only fighting to create a state in the Middle East, but they are also ready to fight us. And if they provoke us, as they seem to have, they certainly did after 9/11, and we fight back, and we go there and we kill innocent people like we're already doing every day, and we put boots on the ground where they live, it'll only make things worse. It would seem an emotional response, possibly a justifiable response to many people, that going over there and bombing them some more, or somehow exacting some retribution, or trying to teach them a lesson, or wiping ISIS from the face of the earth, that might be a good idea or a good foreign policy. I assure you that that is a completely stupid and short-sighted move. Because in any movement throughout history, and even in fictional cases like Star Wars, for example, but in actual cases in history, strong resistance movements that have been fueled by knowing that they are being persecuted. You might look at the Christians in ancient Rome, the Christians in the Soviet Union, other places where there has been persecution all over the world. The people that know that they're right and are willing to suffer through that persecution get stronger, and they're able to pull allies in because they have the power of the truth behind them. And the power of the truth that the folks at ISIS have is that we have been meddling in that region for over 100 years, creating a state of Israel where one did not exist before, or at least hadn't for 1900 years, out of land that belonged to somebody else, and then fortifying Israel and dividing up the Middle East with all these borders that we decided after World War I. We've done nothing but interfere in their lives, denigrate them, insult them, try to take their oil, topple their elected officials, topple their kings, topple even their dictators, because even if it's a dictator, at least it's their dictator, right? They're more likely to support a dictator over there rather than support us going in there and trying to topple their government. You can totally see from their perspective why they would be angry, why they would be radicalized, and why after generations and generations of what we are guilty of in that region, at the behest of corporate donors and the Israel lobby, what we have done over there is basically create chaos, destruction, death. And we're at the point now where it's starting to come home to roost. I know many of you out there who might watch this are not going to agree with me, and I respect that opinion, but I think it's wrong. I think if we behave peacefully in the world, and granted, it would be difficult to get back to that point at this point. As your U.S. Senator, I wouldn't advise immediately standing down. But I do believe that if we are to maintain a moral leadership in the world, a virtuous leadership in the world, not just one of power, because that's not real leadership. America is not an exceptional nation because of power or abundance of natural resources. It's an exceptional nation because of the ideas it was founded on. And the ideas it was founded on do not include toppling dictators, meddling in the affairs of other countries, and creating the chaos, death, and destruction that we've done. We've gotten away from that exceptionalism. So if we want to get back to it, to what we're really about as Americans, we need to back off. We need to make sound agreements. We need to open free trade. We need to stop sending drones over other people's countries and killing their men, women, and children. That's despicable. We have to stop voting for politicians who either decide they're going to do that or support it. We look at the presidential candidates this time around. Now, granted, Donald Trump has said a few things that might lead us to believe that he won't do that. But he said a lot of things. I'm not sure we believe exactly what he's been saying. But certainly, Ted Cruz, John Kasich, Hillary Clinton, Bernie Sanders to a certain extent, and in our own state, Ron Johnson and Russ Feingold, you might think is a peacenik, but who helped re-elect Barack Obama, who has furthered these policies of intervention, warfare, death, and destruction. None of those choices are going to get us back to what makes America an exceptional place. It's not going to bring peace. Killing people does not bring peace. It brings hatred and resistance. And it gives power to those people who resist. It gives the moral authority to them. It used to belong to us a long, long time ago, but it hasn't in a long, long time. Even the aid that we give to foreign countries is often tied to other sorts of agreements. It comes back to certain candidates' foundations, etc. It creates cooperation. It goes to leaders who aren't moral, who mutilate their own people, who bomb and poison their own people. Our aid isn't about helping people, and a lot of it actually goes to the dictators and not to the people anyway, to the governments and not the people anyway. So there's no honor in that. People see right through it. We might think we're doing a good thing, but people on the other end know for a fact that if we send $1 billion to some country in the Middle East or in North Africa or wherever, that of that billion, 990 million is going to the government supporting their military, etc., and some of it manages to trickle down to the people. They know that. They can see that. They read our news. The internet's all over the world. Even the poorest people in the world have access to news now, which is another discussion at how well the free market has been able to spread information across the world. But in terms of what happened in Brussels, it's just the fruit of our own foreign policy, the United States and the West. It is our chickens coming home to roost, and there'll probably be more of it. We should be very careful about who we let in this country in terms of their background. Not to say we should cut off refugees or whatever, but we need to be very careful. We need to do our job to secure our nation, to defend our nation, but stop the immoral killing, destruction, maiming of people, innocent people all over the world, which then turns into terrorist attacks in Brussels and Paris, and eventually, probably again and again and again in the United States. Thanks, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.